Welcome to Not Entirely Unlike Tea with Christine Collins. Hey there, it's Christine Collins, and for today, I thought it might be fun for us to talk about the client journey, client's readiness for your work or your content, some of the things that you can do to make that attraction and readiness process smoother, and also the importance of the consistency and the sustainability of your content. Someone recently asked me a question about how do I decide to work with someone professionally? So I think that a lot of times when we are posting on social media or creating content for the purpose of attraction for clients, sometimes we operate under a little tiny bit of what I'll go ahead and call a delusion that we're going to create this very masterful post. It'll be so connecting, so aligned, so attracting, and so converting that the first person scrolling will click immediately on the link and make a purchase. Most of us know from experience by now that this is not how it actually works. Yes, there are some moments where you do create a post that's really good, and because it's really good and because you've done some other strategizing and SEOing and attraction pieces, someone does come along, click, and buy. So that's certainly not to say that that doesn't occur. But more often than not, the process looks something more like this. I'm scrolling on social media, or I'm looking through some platform, and somewhere in the feed, I see your post. Depending on whether or not it's immediately relevant to me, I may slightly slow down my scroll, or I may scroll even faster. A lot of the time, though, I'm not going to stop and look at it more closely unless there's a good reason to. So that could be because I know you, because I'm already interested in your work, or have already seen other pieces of your content, because you say something really captivating in the opening line and have caught me just long enough that I'm going to read more. But many times, the very first post of ours that someone else sees, they don't stop. However, the next time they see it, they may scroll a little bit slower, assuming that it contains something that's interesting to them and relevant to them in some way. This time, they may scan it quickly, read some or most of it. Very rarely does anyone ever read all of it. And most of the time, people read the first line of every paragraph and then decide if they're going to finish it all the way down or not. The next step might be, either with this post or with a future post, that they'll slow down and read it more and maybe peek at some of the comments to see what other people are saying. Perhaps they'll even choose to comment, or not. They might just be a silent observer. The people who are interested in buying from you may or may not be actually engaging with your content. However, they are watching it. Many of us have had experiences of a completely surprise purchase from someone that really wasn't on our radar. We haven't spoken to them before. They haven't been interacting with us or with our content before. And they seemingly come out of the blue. But the truth is that a lot of our content is being observed, even if they're not commenting, liking, or responding to it in some way. So always be mindful of that. They may read some comments. If it's a freebie, they may take it up, or they may decide ultimately it's not for them. They may have a question. They may be about to ask it and then see that someone else has asked their question. They may make a decision in that moment to go and follow your primary page or to subscribe to your channel, depending on the platform. They might click through to your website if they've developed enough of a curiosity to take the step of clicking on another link. And depending on how interested they are, they may peek around at the different pages on your site. They'll look at things like who you are and your pricing and what you offer. They might go ahead and jump on your email list. And then the next time they see something, they may read the comments again. They may even click over again to your website or your offer and not buy anything, but look around again. If they're a little bit more interested this time, they may click through the offer link. They might go and see if it's occurring at a day and time that works for them or not. If they don't buy something that day, or if they haven't lost interest, in a future post, this time they may click the whole way through. They may have something that prevents them from purchasing, like it doesn't work for them, the pricing doesn't work, the exact service isn't quite exactly what they need, but they are still interested. So by this time now, just taking note, we're maybe 5 or 6 posts in that they've seen of your content. And finally, one day, they see something that you share. They have been following you for a while. Perhaps by this time, they're on your email list. They're following your channels. They're noticing you now in their newsfeed. When your name comes up, they are stopping to read it and have a closer look. And now you've shared an offer that actually works for them. They can afford it, or it's happening at the right time, or it's the right type of service. And now they're sold. That is the more realistic client life cycle versus they see something one time, it's perfectly aligned, they can afford it, and they're available for it, and they click and buy straight away. A lot of times, somebody needs more information. They need to better understand your work and exactly what you do and exactly how you help. They need to hear more about the benefit to them if they work with you. They need to better understand you and your personality to know if they feel safe and comfortable working together. The process that you've created for them to book in or to purchase feels safe and comfortable to them. And also making it really easy for them to find how to work with you, whether that's providing a link directly into booking, making it very easy to locate on your website, and being clear and concise with that segment of your post. Now, I generally think of the client journey in 3 stages, but this, of course, as you may already know, has been conceptualized in so many different ways. So I just want to be very clear that this is simply how I look at it. It's not some kind of a scientific process. It's from observation and the things that I know about clients and marketing. I think of the first stage as the attraction stage, where the person is kind of just being called in to look at your work, to see something from you, to discover you for the first time. And depending on what you do and where you tend to do your marketing will determine how that could happen. So it could happen on social media. It could happen from your website. They've done some type of a search and come across you. If you are using things like search engine optimization in the various different platforms that you work in, that can help also. They may find you through a friend who has recommended the content to them. They may know you through a network that you're both a part of. So there's lots of different ways that clients can come into our world and begin interacting with our content. It's important to think about the attraction stage as kind of like having coffee. It's light. It's the first date. It's not the time to deliver some type of hard and heavy sales pitch at all. The attraction stage is where the individual finding you is uncertain as of yet whether or not they like you, whether or not they're interested, whether or not you have anything to offer to bring them in. But something there sparked their interest, and they are slowly beginning to move closer into your world and into your content. So you're kind of wooing them and looking for ways to connect with them that are lighthearted and interesting and very engaging. Telling a story, sharing something funny, something eye-catching, something very relatable that will actually slow down their scroll and get them to stop and land on your work. And importantly, it really helps if they see something of themselves in whatever you're sharing. It's either about something they care about, interesting to them in some way intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and it's captivating enough that it stands out enough to get them to stop long enough to draw in that information. And you can begin to kind of provide things that show the relatability, show how it's relevant. So thinking of different ways to make the work that you do interesting, you can relate it to pop culture. You could draw a movie reference or a music reference or an everyday funny experience that a lot of people are familiar with. But you do want it to be creative and unique because we all know that there's enough redundant cliche content out there that no one really wants to see more of. So whatever you do to kind of attract them in, use your creativity and make an effort to do something unique and innovative that other people haven't done or aren't doing. And from the attraction stage, that person slowly begins to move closer towards you, so I call it the moving towards stage. They're becoming more knowledgeable from reading your work. They're becoming more educated on the subject that you speak about. They're becoming more interested and invested in that topic, and it's relevant to them. So now they're beginning to pay closer attention. They might be hopping on your email list. They might be actively looking for your work, searching for it. And as they move further into your world and become more familiar with the subject and with your expertise on that subject, we could say that their level of insight into that issue begins to increase. So when they first came in, they may not have known very much about the topic that you're talking about. Now, after they're in the moving towards stage, they've been paying attention to your work for a little while, they're starting to gain familiarity with your message and beginning to understand more what it is you're talking about, what you mean, and why it's important. And now they can begin to relate it to their own life experience and how it fits into something they may want to apply. And actually, if you can give them something that's directly applicable to them, it will make your work more memorable as well. So from this stage, eventually, if they are going to become a client, so we're assuming that this is a future client of yours versus somebody who's just following you and they just find you really interesting and they'll keep following you, but they're not going to become a future client. And that's totally fine also. We welcome and need the people that are just interested in following us at a broadcast level. But in this client journey, we're speaking about someone who will eventually buy from you. So the third stage and the last one is the imagining stage or the readiness stage. The reason why I call it the imagining stage is because it requires them being capable of visualizing either what it would be like to work with you or the benefit that they would gain afterwards. They have to be able to see somehow their life being better as a result of purchasing whatever it is you have on offer. And so that's part of the role of the sales copy and the content in providing them with tangible, clear messages about the benefit to them and what they can have if they choose to take that step forward. The clients I support often have trouble believing in the possibility of the thing they really want, whatever that looks like for them to achieve that goal, to finish that project, to come to the next level of something that's important to them. And so part of my role as the hypnotherapist is to be capable of visualizing that horizon of possibilities, to be open to them, to know that they have the potential, even if they're not certain about it, and show them the view. So creating that horizon of possibilities and then showing them the view, what that looks like. And that helps them to begin to foster a belief that it is possible for them. That's part of the process of hypnosis. But in many ways, it's also the process of marketing in the sense that it's helping people to move closer towards something that they desire and giving them the information they need to be capable of seeing that as possible. It's showing them a potential path for them to alchemize whatever problem or pain or challenge or struggle they're having, whatever their current dissatisfaction is, and alchemizing that into desire and into something that they want to move towards. Now they have a path. Now there's something to follow. Now there's a sense of direction. They know what they want and they can go after it. When we're stuck in pain or trouble or difficulty or the problem, it's very difficult sometimes to get unstuck and get out of the mud because we don't actually know where we want to go to. All we know is we're stuck and we're very, very focused on the stuck part. It's well known for hypnotherapists as part of our training that in terms of helping someone to facilitate a change to their behavior or their life experience, it's much easier for them to move towards something that they desire versus away from something that's unwanted. It's just very difficult for our subconscious to conceptualize the absence of a thing. And so if you're telling yourself, no matter what, I don't want to eat cookies, I don't want to eat cake, I don't want to eat chips, your brain is still focused on cookies, cakes, and chips because that's what you've told it to do. And so we continue to focus on whatever it is that's the highlight of the message. So instead, if we focus on the thing we want instead, strawberries, bananas, grapefruit, apples, Focusing on those things allows your brain to search out all of the different examples of strawberries that it can possibly find to help you to get closer to the strawberries. And so we can apply this to the way that we discuss that horizon of possibilities in allowing that person to find what it is that they want to move closer towards as a result of working with you or buying your thing. And this is yet another reason why it's far more effective to use desire-focused messaging than pain dialing and other types of more negative marketing and messaging, not to mention the incredibly harmful effects. So in this imagining stage, the client is beginning to conceptualize and visualize the process of working together with you. They begin to have questions about what the payment process looks like, what it's like to book in with you, what are the days and times that you tend to be available, or if it's a product that you're selling, they might want more information about that. This person now has been following you for a while, and we could say that they have a much higher level of insight into the problem. There may still be gaps in their understanding, but they understand much more clearly than someone who's just coming into your work as far as the benefit of your services, the insight into the problem that they're really having, and what they need to do to improve that. Now, oftentimes their desire will also have deepened. They may have come to you initially looking at your work with a really surface level interest and a surface level desire, kind of a quick fix may have been the thing that they're looking for. After a little while, just from being exposed to your content and the educational aspects of it, they'll begin to have a deeper desire based on that new insight that they've developed from that education. Now, instead of the quick fix, they're starting to understand that there is a deeper transformation that's possible, that might be longer lasting, and that might be more beneficial over the long term. They're also coming in with eyes open. They might be much more clear on what the specific, tangible outcomes will be, and that is partially our job as marketers to provide that insight to them, allowing them to make an informed decision. And perhaps most important of all, their belief in what's possible will have changed. When they first found you, they may have been extremely skeptical that anything you were offering could actually help them because they were in a state of hopelessness about the issue or problem. They may have felt stuck or felt like they have no idea what to do about the issue. And because of that, their desires and expectations would have been more unrealistic. So over time, as they're exposed to more and more of your content, more and more about your work, and helping them to understand the situation better for themselves, it's more clear to them how they could actually have a better situation. Now, when it comes to moving through this client journey, people really move through it at very different speeds. There are some people who will find you, and the same day they find you, they're going to sign up to your email list and they're going to start reading some of your content or fall down your YouTube rabbit hole and watch a bunch of your videos. And other people will take significantly longer as they just move through those different stages more slowly, or there's a greater span of time in between interacting with your content. And so one thing you may have noticed as we're talking through these different stages, that it does take some people time. They may follow you quite a while before hitting a stage of readiness and being ready to buy something from you. And so, especially over that span of time, our consistent interaction with our content is really important for building that relationship, because we don't want it to be as if you were dating someone and you got 3 messages from them all at once and then they totally disappeared for 3 months. So not ghosting the audience is really useful because the trust takes time to create. And especially if you're hoping for repeat customers and referrals and a long-term relationship with your audience, it's really helpful to provide some type of interaction or content with them regularly. Not only does it build those layers of education and trust and understanding of your work and the benefits to them, it creates a feeling of reliability that you're going to be there and that you're trustworthy. And it really is more like the long game rather than a quick weekend fling. And the more consistent you are, the more likely it is that you're going to catch them in a moment where they're thinking about the issue or challenge, or perhaps it's become really noticeable for them in their life. And then they see your post and it just clicks. Sometimes someone who's struggling with a certain challenge may have a few good weeks and then something happens and they remember again why it was a problem for them and why they started seeking help in the first place. And even better if in that moment they do come across some of your content and think, oh yeah, that's right. I've been following this. This is someone that seems really knowledgeable about the problem that I'm having. And there's that perfect alignment of their lived experience and whatever's happening for them and your message speaking to your understanding of the situation, your understanding of their lived experience, but even more importantly, speaking to the desire of what they wish to move closer towards and how they can go about doing that. And the more tangible and the more clear that is, the better your messaging is going to resonate. So I hope this has been helpful for you and that you've enjoyed listening. And until we connect the next time, I wish you a most magical and creative rest of your day. Thanks for listening. This is Christine Collins at transformcreate.com.